Sup, BB? How does it feel to work on Chappie for 3 months for me to read it in 4 seconds and to give you a whole $1? Not as bad as me working on a chapter for 3 months and then trying to figure out why views and likes are low and being like, oh, is it because I have links in the post? And is it like because Mr. Elon is raping my ass, and trying to figure out the mechanics of how the sausage is being made in Twitter right now because Elon doesn't want people to monetize their fucking shit. It's an absolute goddamn nightmare. I had to repost the chapter because I was like, it's definitely getting suppressed. And the views are still pretty low right now. But I can't tell if that's because it's a repost or because it's still getting suppressed, because I still have links to YouTube and my Patreon and the replies, so I'm not really sure what, you know, what is triggering what, you know? I miss back when pre-Elon Twitter, when like I was just like, if I'm not getting a lot of traction on a post or I'm not getting new followers, that's just because I'm not drawing good enough shit. I just need to work harder and people will like my stuff. But my followers stopped increasing and they often go down all the time. And some posts won't get views, and I'm not sure why. And it's all like happening inside the Twitter infrastructure. It's a real pain in the ass that you can't really trust. Like, you can't trust that views are a reflection of quality anymore, so it's just like, fuck. Did you repost your link to Patreon at the end of the chapter? Yeah, I fucked that one up. Thanks for the 420. Hey, I can stop screaming at any time if people will allow me to. Yeah, the Patreon was just a mistake on my part. I didn't post the right link. But have you guys actually tried posting a YouTube link? Like, if you take a... Like, if you take a straight up YouTube link like this, see, watch this. You take the YouTube link and you post it like this, paste. It just gives you the text, Helltaker OST, Mitzi's Vitality, VIP edit 1 hour, right? It's not actually a link. That's what happens if you just copy paste it directly. So, basically YouTube links have been completely disabled. Or, what happens if you do this? You go paste as plain text, and now it's a link. And it still gives you the link pop-up. So, Elon clearly doesn't want people to be YouTubers to be like sending revenue to another site. But the people who have set up this shit also aren't smart enough to stop YouTube links altogether. I don't know, man. The whole thing is retarded. It just makes me not want to use the platform, and a lot of people feel that way, which is why a lot of people are leaving Twitter, but there isn't a good alternative, so I'm gonna have to start posting on Blue Sky and hope that just everybody has a consensus place to go to. But normal people like us don't post on Twitter, really? Yeah, it do be like that. What browser is that? That's Edge. I used to be using Chrome, but Chrome was having its own problems. And then I used to be, I tried a bunch of browsers, and right now I'm using Edge. Delete the tab, you poor RAM. The tabs. You want to see the real shit? 3 tabs, 12 tabs, 18 tabs. We have like 20 tabs open in Edge. and about, I don't know, I'd say about 50 tabs open in Firefox. It's a fucking gaming PC. If you can't handle my tabs, then you don't deserve to be called a gaming PC, you piece of shit. I don't know, it works fine. It's not overheating. Doesn't have that copy-paste behavior on Firefox. Interesting. I'm pretty sure that the post suppression is unrelated to the browser and is a PC thing. Not a PC, a Twitter thing, though. I don't know. I was drawing with like 18 different browser tabs open back before when I didn't have a gaming PC, and it was fine, so I think it's fine now that I have, you know, 16 gigs of RAM. It should be fine. Let's see. Is this what I used to check? I'm currently using only 20% of the CPU. 71% memory. That's probably the 1800 tabs. What the fuck happens when you click free up memory? Is it just deleting all your caches? I don't know how to pronounce that. You draw with opacity at all? When I do gray stuff, I use opacity. Well, I don't draw with opacity settings on the pens. I'm currently using this thing called a brush pen, which has built-in opacity, I think. If you go way in at the tip, it gives you this scratchy grayness. But if you're drawing at these huge resolutions, like 8,000 by 6,000, then it doesn't really matter. This is the, in Clip Studio Paint, this is called the, what is it? It's just called brush pen, I think. It's one of the default pens. Do I even have the standard one? I think I duplicated it. But it's supposed to be like Fudepen, like those Japanese brush pens that mangaka use. If you watch like video footage of mangaka, like Murata and stuff, like they often use these brush pens for the black things. If you look at it, it has a teardrop shaped tip. So I've changed the tip shape and made it like a round tip shape. So it's just like a hard round brush. But what I like about this is that you can adjust the taper here. So if I make the taper the maximum length, it becomes really long. Like you'll make a short brush stroke starting here. It'll go like super long. Look how long the taper can become. That's the longest taper that I think you can achieve out of any of the default brushes. But I have it at the second longest thing. So when you draw manga, they often tell you that you want to have these like sharp lines like this that taper off, and then you like connect the tapers like this, right? And there's a bunch of manga G pen themed ones that are supposed to simulate the manga pen strokes, but they don't have that much taper. So I use their brush pen instead. I just started doing that relatively recently. My CSP has a fit if I draw at anything above 3K. Is that a CSP problem? That sounds like a CPU problem. If you want to use G Pen, there's also two G Pens by default in Clip Studio Paint. One called the Real G Pen and one called just the G Pen. The G Pen without the Real on it, just G Pen, is the closest thing you'll get to like the hard round brush of Photoshop. And it doesn't have much taper at all. And I've tried drawing with it, and it's good for like stuff like backgrounds, I think. But the lines don't have much like thickness going to thin taper stuff. The Real G Pen, if you zoom into it, look at the tip. It's not a perfect round. If you push it on it, it has these little dots in it, and the outside is kind of like randomized. And that's, I guess, is meant to simulate the paper and the randomness of paper. And if you draw with it, it tends to have a little bit more taper than the non-Real G Pen. Although it's pretty similar. I mean, you can compare the two lines. The biggest difference is the Real G Pen has all of this noise on the outside, I guess, which is meant to simulate the paper, whereas the normal G Pen is completely smooth. And then the round brush pen, which I'm using, doesn't have any noise, but it gives me a lot of taper. You have to be drawing at a large resolution to use the brush pen, though, because if you're drawing at smaller resolutions, where you get to the small pixels, the lines can become really gray. See, if you do these thin lines with the brush pen, they become like very gray, scratchy lines, which is I think fine if you're just drawing for the computer, but if you want to become like a mangaka and like publish shit, then gray is a no-no. It has to be like completely black or completely white, so it shouldn't matter at this resolution though. The other pen that I use is this calligraphy pen, which is this elliptical shaped pen. This is what I use to draw lettering and stuff. But I also use it to like draw lines and things. I use this because it's the one that you can, if you turn stabilization off completely for it, you can get like these really squiggly worm-like lines that look very amateurish. And you might be like, why would you want that? But it's actually very hard to find these amateurish squiggly lines. Like if you try and do that with a G pen, it's still like relatively smooth. Like you don't get this wobbliness. And that's even with stabilization off. So the calligraphy pen is what I've been using mostly up until this point. But once I started doing manga, I started caring about these kinds of like sharpness lines. And that's when I started using the brush pen. I finally figured out how to make a G pen inside too, and I was turning on a setting that was right in front of me for years. I am stupid. I usually am like, YouTube drawing tutorials don't help, but when it comes to like software stuff, you should really like try and watch a bunch of shit that tell you all the options you can use in software, because there's like so many options that you probably don't use. The YouTube artist tutorials who are like, here's how I became a pro artist in 1 month shit is, it's all bullshit, of course, but the ones that are like specifically tell you the type of options and tools in CSP that you probably don't know about, those are good. Will you aim for Chapter 4 under 30 days from now? No, I don't really feel like it. For one thing, I'm drawing all these requests right now, so... Mon Hunt Wilds is coming out at the end of the month. I'm not necessarily going to play Monster Hunter Wilds, but I learned a bunch of new things about how to build images and how to build pages drawing the previous chapter, and I sort of want to practice that a little bit by drawing fan art before I like try, especially like time limitations. I know like if I want to go pro, I need to be able to draw at a certain speed and stuff like that's, but I also want to, I need to improve quality as well, and it's sort of hard to do both at the same time. Not sort of, it's kind of, it's just like straight up, I can't do it. I have to like either focus on trying to figure out my manga making process and improve quality, and once I can do that, then maybe I can start you know, cutting time around the edges and stuff like that, but just draw more. It's that simple. Tizka finished over 700 volumes. People want to call themselves manga artists when they haven't had multiple deep vein thrombosis scares and aneurysms. So the one of my manga artists I respect the most is Kishiro Yukito of Gunmu, also known as Battle Angel Alita. And in one of his, the backs of one of his manga volumes, he said that he read a book when he wanted to become a manga artist about, that was called like Anybody Who Can Become a Professional Mangaka. And it was basically like, as if you're willing, if you draw 1,000 pages of manga, no matter who you are, if you can actually draw 1,000 pages of manga, once you've drawn 1,000 pages of manga, you can become professional, was what it wanted to say. And Kishiro Yukito was like, okay, so I'm going to try and draw 1,000 pages. And of course he became a professional mangaka way before he got the 1,000 pages because, you know, if you're actually talented, you can get there pretty quickly. But if you want to be like, oh, I have no talent, and I do believe that people don't have talent and stuff like that. Like, I don't think that's, like, anybody can do anything if they, as long as they put their mind to it. But try drawing 1,000 pages first, and then you can decide whether you can make it or not. I like the Alita movie, bruh. The Alita movie was good because it had the motorball segment, but that was about it. I mean, there's been way worse anime adaptations, right? Or manga adaptations, I guess, in this case. It could have been so much worse. Here's the thing. I'm a huge Battle Angel Alita fan, but I like the Gunmu Last Order content more than the original stuff. I know a lot of people hate Last Order, but I really like Last Order. I like Last Order more than the earlier plots. If you aim for the moon and don't die along the way, you will land among the stars. Yeah. Or you'll have wasted a lot of time. Who knows? I think the whole, like, you can do anything, you can achieve anything stuff is kind of bullshit. And it's weird how people apply it to drawing in ways that they don't apply it to other pursuits. Like, if your brother was like, I'm gonna make the NBA, and you're like, dude, you're 5'2", and you can't even jump. They'd be like, don't tell me I can't pursue my dreams. You'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But for some reason with drawing, we're like, talent isn't real. You just haven't tried hard enough. It's like, of course talent is real. Don't be fucking stupid. By the way, this is an image of a little doodle that Toriyama did in his fucking high school graduation yearbook. So he's probably drawing this with like, without any kind of rough draft in like the corner of the yearbook when people are writing messages to other people. He probably drew this in like 12 minutes, just like doodling it when he was like 17 or 18 or whatever. So yeah, talent isn't real my fucking ass. When you hear the stories of like actually hyper successful mangaka, half of them are just like, I was poor and I saw that they were offering like the equivalent of $10,000 in prize money if I won a manga competition. So I just sent my manga in because I wanted to gamble more on pachinko, and then I won. And then I wasted all my money on pachinko, and then the editor was like, dude, you have to start a series. And I was like, yeah, do I? And he was like, yes. And then I became a professional mangaka that sold millions of copies because, you know, I needed money. There's like 10 people like that. Like the rest are like normal drawing people who are like, I grew up reading Dragon Ball and I want to be like that. But like half of the people, especially the super famous ones like Toriyama, were just like, I was poor, so I just wanted some money. Do you have someone editing your writing process? No. I'm probably a better writer than I am and a drawing artist, but there aren't any like manga artist people available to do the drawing process instead of me, so I can't just be the one who's doing the writing now, can I? I remember that rape short Toriyama made. He's extremely based. Toriyama gives 0 fucks, and he doesn't think for more than 5 minutes when he writes his manga. Toriyama at no point is like, think about the children. How will they react if they read this manga about this old man asking Bulma to show her pussy? He's just like, haha, sexo, LMAO. Let me draw 18 pages in 10 hours and then I can go back to playing video games. A lot of those old mangaka were a powerhouse of talent, improv skills, and procrastination management. A lot of current mangaka lack the talent and spend most of their time arranging 3D models to trace. That's just rose-colored glasses. You guys just have forgotten the 10 million mangaka that nobody gave a fuck about and just remember the grades. When we say old mangaka, like it's the same as anybody who's like, oh man, music today sucks. I turn on the radio and hate it. It's not like the Eagles back in the day, forgetting that there were like a million other bands other than the Eagles that you don't remember because they weren't very good. You're listening to the classic rock version of manga, that's all. Trust me, if you actually read like a manga volume from like 1970 it's not as good as the manga that is being published today. I can guarantee that as someone who has read a lot of old manga and gone through like old Japanese bookstores and stuff like that, where you'll just like have volumes from 1970. The ones that are remembered fondly are the ones that remain, whereas the ones that people don't really care about just disappear in time. What's up? I remember you said you like handwritten dialogue for your art, but it's time consuming for your typed out dialogue. Why not use comic book fonts that mimic handwritten text? There are decent free ones you like. I like the current text-based dialogue. I don't mind it. I think the current version of the manga in terms of like text bubbles and stuff looks good enough. I don't really care. There are some parts in which I will use handwritten dialogue. And some parts where I will use typeset. I consider handwriting stuff to be a tool in my toolbox, not something that I'm going to adhere to. Do not turn into a font. Turning it into a font kind of defeats the purpose why I would use handwriting in the first place, I would say. The point of writing it by hand is so I can do weird stuff with the text on a case-by-case basis, depending on how the character feels. This isn't the Hotline Miami that I wanted. Where's the ticka-ticka-da one? The guys know what I'm talking about, which one it is, which one I'm looking for. You know, the Hotline Miami. You know what it's called? Oh, it's hydrogen? Okay, it's the next one. Yeah, of course everybody knows what it's called. Let's fucking go! I guess I should add all these, the 7TV emotes and stuff that got turned off after I got banned for drawing the statue of David. So you guys can spam your gotchi cool. I've just been too lazy. I have not played Hotline Miami 2, and I don't really plan to. This is just a great music to murder people repeatedly and then fail and die and then get up and murder people again. Also, the tiger mask is extremely overpowered. I think I almost exclusively use the tiger mask throughout the playthrough. What was it? It was like more damage using fists. I can't remember. Did it become like you can punch people like twice and they die instead of like 3 or 4 times? I can't remember specifically what the boost was. The mask that buffs Fist. Yeah, Tony. Tony, holy shit, the Hotline Miami wiki just goes on forever. What the fuck? I just look up the Hotline Miami fucking tiger mask, and they're like Tony, and it just goes on and on and on from like 1985, 1991, early December 1991. Like, holy shit, this is like on par with the Warhammer 40k wiki or something about shit I don't care about. I just want to figure out, like, what the extra damage boost was by wearing the fucking tiger mask. And it just goes like, list of killed victims. Jesus Christ. I like your handwritten dialogue. I just like, see, I don't want people to be focusing too much on the handwriting. I feel like the current situation where like, I feel like the type text is more neutral. Have you guys noticed that I use different fonts for the different characters? Like, Aubrey has a different font than Will, for example. Like, I am doing stuff with the font. Like, I don't know, my handwriting is pretty loud, you know? So if I want the people to be able to read the story in, like, a neutral context. Does this not have gray on it? It looks like it doesn't. That's a mistake. It just might be really light gray. Yeah, I think the gray is too light or something. I should have used a darker gray right there on that hand. See, I mean, I used, you know, handwritten text in situations, but when I want you to be able to read the text a little bit more normally, I make sure that I use typeset. I don't know. I think it's fine. Didn't actually see that. Somebody do Avati Vidya style on the deep lore of BaalBud comics. The Renoa equals Ultimecia of my dark elf stepsister plot. Can I ask a weird power scaling question? Yes, Goku is stronger than Superman. I think we've already settled that. When Superman was like, I don't like your style, Goku would be like, damn, this guy, he's just getting stronger. I'm starting to feel waku waku daze. Who you got? The Justice League versus Gandalf the Grey and Gandalf the White and Monty Python and the Holy Grails, Black Knight and Benito Mussolini and the Blue Meanie and Cowboy Curtis and Jambi the Genie, Robocop, the Terminator, Captain Kirk and Darth Vader, Lopan, Superman, every single Power Ranger, Bill S. Preston and Theodore Logan, Spock, The Rock, Doc Ock, and Hulk Hogan. So is it Justice League and then Superman is on the other side? Fuck the Justice League, by the way. Who the fuck wants to hang out with the Justice League people? I mean, Wonder Woman is such a cunt. Aquaman is so uncool that he's just like a running joke. Same thing for Green Lantern. Flash should be like more powerful than God, except he's a giga jobber. There's literally one cool DC superhero, and it's Batman, and he's just a rich guy, but for some reason that means he has like 10 movies because Warner Brothers has realized he's the only marketable one of the entire fucking Justice League. I like the Flash. I've said this before, but there's zero reason why the Flash should be weaker than Superman. The Flash should be way more powerful than Superman. Superman is just a fucking alien. The entire source of Superman's powers is he's just like solar powered from the local star system. And he loses his strength if there's a little green rock that is from his home world. It would be like if any of you white guys in chat decide to go to Japan and went to Roppongi, and suddenly there's all these thirsty bitches who only are interested in fucking white guys, and you start to think that the reason why you're drowning in pussy is because you're actually attractive instead of some sort of weird xenophobic racism that Japanese women have and desire to be impregnated by white men. Superman is powerful because he's a fish out of water for some reason. Wait, is that real? Yeah, Superman is powered by the local sun power. Also, Japanese women wanting to have sex with white men is real. It's not all of them. It's just like a certain subsect of party or gyaru areas that hang out in Roppongi. And like, I don't know, different places of Tokyo where they go to clubs and shit. Nah, bullshit. I didn't know about it until I went on a study abroad with my university to Japan because I was majoring in like language or something. I don't know, some sort of culture shit. So you had a semester abroad was mandatory, but of course I went with all these other white guys. And instead of like properly studying, what would they do? They'd go out to Shinjuku over the weekend. And yeah, they were all having sex for sure, unlike me. I have also met a Japanese woman in high school. There was like a Japanese woman who had came to my American high school for a brief period of time. And because I was the only person who could speak Japanese around her in many months, she did the female thing where she tried to talk to me about her problems for like 40 minutes while I was clearly uninterested. But part of her problems was like, is my pussy loose from taking too much black dick? This was an actual thing that she was talking to me about, and I was like, not paying attention. So yeah, she was one of those like people that have probably mental health issues that were coming to America because they couldn't find a place in Japanese society and are now concerned about being labeled a slut. I don't know. I didn't really care. I was ignoring her, so. But yes, I'm just like, foreigners are a nice little exotic subsection of Japanese society that gets some women excited. Like, it makes them feel better about themselves. I don't know. It's the equivalent of me opening New York Times today and in the opinion section, the advice section. Can I find it? Has it been taken down? Oh, like right up there, the ethicist. As a white man, can I date women of color to advance my anti-racism? This is an actual question that a New York Times cuck reader is writing in to the fucking New York Times magazine questioning. I'm a straight white dude and recent college grad who has very progressive beliefs and is looking for a committed partner who, in time, can equitably raise a family with me. I have almost zero honest to goodness physical preferences. I've dated women of various shapes and sizes, various skin, hair, and eye colors, and have been attracted to all of them. Wow, you're horny. Good for you, dude. Here's what's controversial among my friends. I want to prioritize dating women of color. I'm after a cross cultural relationship. I believe very strongly that one of the main ways to combat racism is through relationships. Part of me thinks that I will always be somewhat disappointed if what ends up becoming one of the most important relationships in my life is with another white person. If someone is a woman of color, that checks a box for me in a real way. I am seeking to be anti-racist in all my relationships. Bro just wants a black chick? I mean, I hope he just wants a black chick. This is like the most racist shit I've seen in a long time. Fucking insane. It's got to be a troll. Unfortunately, this is the New York Times, so I don't think it is. I think it's just a legitimate weirdo liberal. Straight up the never ask a racist what's the race of his girlfriend meme, but real. Yeah, except this is worse because the guy thinks like he's fighting the power by fucking a black chick. Like literal savior complex is how I would say it. Bro, to go into his views on eugenics, it really is, right? It's like one step away from being like, we need to maintain the purity of the white race by never race mixing, except he's doing the opposite. Some of these people are so unhinged and they don't even notice it. It really shows to you how innocent and well-meaning all the gooners are on the internet when they're just like, ooh, gigantic black booty, sniff, sniff, make this black queen sit on my face, ooh. At least they're being honest to their sexual desires instead of being like, how can I combat racism by dating a black chick? Let me write a 5-paragraph letter to the fucking New York Times. That's someone who will ruin their partner? Yeah, Jesus. They get the platform to say all this unhinged shit? Yeah. When I write into New York Times talking about how I can't forgive my neighbors for lowering my house property because they moved in and sullied my perfect white neighborhood with their slightly different skin color, it doesn't get featured on the front page. And yet this guy has no problem. Sex cures racism? Not really. If we did, we wouldn't have like every white guy in America has like 0.1% black African race mixture in it or some shit like that because the slave owners were like fucking all their slaves all the time. It's perfectly acceptable to think that human beings are beneath you and that you should be allowed to own them as slaves and then also want to stick your penis in them if you're a guy. In retrospect, I remember when learning about that type of stuff about slavery, I think the teacher tried to convince me that the white wives of these white male slave owners were also victims in this whole thing because they had to watch while their husband cheated on them with slaves and stuff like that. But in retrospect, that's kind of bullshit. These white women also get to live a comfortable lifestyle thanks to living on a fucking plantation. The whole, oh no, my husband isn't faithful to me because he's fucking the slave pussy is not much of a complaint. What the fuck? White woman fucked male black slaves too? I don't know how much that happened. I don't think you're allowed to, if I was a slave owner on a plantation, I would make sure my wife wasn't fucking the black slaves. Rules for thee, not for me. A lot of white women partook in using male slaves. That would explain why everybody has so much race mixing going on in America, if everybody was doing it, I guess. Rich men would have 10 different women or some shit. If any guy who accumulates power, the first thing they do it is just use it to have sex. As soon as there's any kind of cult, the first thing that the cult leader does is try and convince all his followers that the only way for them to achieve nirvana is to have sex with him. This is like a universal rule. There's that Indian yoga cult, and of course the guy was like, to achieve yoga nirvana, you have to have sex with me. I hear the percentage of slave owners in the US was low. Well, it's like how the number of rich people in the US right now, if you're going by actual percentage, is low. Slaves were very expensive, especially in the second half of the slavery economy. That's kind of like saying, not everybody in America owns a factory in 2025. Of course not. You can't afford to own a shit ton of slaves if you're poor. Jared Leto and his Sec Island. All the people fighting for the South in the Civil War are literally bootlickers. And nothing has changed. It's still easy to convince dumbasses to go fight for their rich overlords. Look at all the people who showed up on January 6th for Trump, who were like, no, we have to save the White House for Mr. Trump. It's like, how is this going to help you, you dumbass? Some people are just easily manipulated. You just have to give them this is your cultural way of life bullshit. It's just like Fox News right now. You can just be like, oh, they're trying to take away our way of life. And then you're like, I thought Panty was the busty one. No, Stocking has more tits and thighs and stuff. Panty is much thinner. It's a pretty goddamn great song, though. What are your top 5 Civil War era generals? I don't know how many I can name. Stonewall Jackson, that's one. Shit, Lee. I'm forgetting some of the Union ones. Like the guy who literally became Ulysses S. Grant. That's about all I can name. I'm not a huge Civil War history guy. I actually don't give a fuck about history in general. The fact that Americans care so much about Civil War reenactment just says a lot about how little history America actually has. Because if you had a longer history, you could reenact cooler shit. Like, imagine all the cool shit, like, the Chinese get to reenact with their, like, 7,000 years of history. America only has, like, one Civil War, and that's about it. What would BaalDad think? Yeah, my father is visiting next week, so there will probably be a stream. Then you can ask his favorite Civil War generals then. I'm sure he can name quite a few more than me. Boston Tea Party reenactment. We bought 10 crates of Lipton iced tea, and we're just gonna dump it into the harbor. Even the Japanese. The Japanese do a little bit of reenactment, but not a ton. Oh, Tecumseh Sherman, that's right. Dressing up as a slave and running through Civil War reenactment screaming. I can feel my DNA turning to USA, Kekona Clap. I love how, like, a significant portion of the United States' main cultural identity is just how racist they were. And reminiscing about back in the old days when they were allowed to be extremely racist and own people. I never even heard about all these racists until Twitch. To be fair, a lot of the classic Deep South racists back from my time have kind of died off by now, and a lot of them are just replaced with LARPers who aren't actually that racist. Ironically, we have a lot more weird left-wing liberal people who are asking New York Times if they're allowed to fight racism by dating black people. And that's where a lot of the weird racism goes on. LARPer racist. I mean, that's what all the 4chan racists are. They might type the N-word like 10 million times in chat every single day. But if they actually encountered a black guy on the street, they wouldn't, like, you know, misbehave around him, and they would probably get around along with him just fine. Also, half of the people who type the N-word in 4chan every day are, like, living in Indonesia and stuff like that, so... See, back in the day, like, people had more discipline about being a racist. Trump is another good example. Trump is a racist, but he's not, like, a disciplined racist. Like, in order to maintain Jim Crow, back in the day, the South had to... You had to be, like... You had to have all these systematic, structural, racist rules about how, like, black people can't eat at the same lunch counter and shit like that. Like, Trump, like, at his core is probably racist, but that can easily be mitigated by just being like, yeah, I support you. And he's like, oh, this black guy is fine, you know? Like, none of the people are like, I'm not going to talk to you because I don't like your skin color anymore. Like, there was a time when our parents were still alive when... In certain states, if you were black and you looked at a white woman wrong, she could possibly accuse you of trying to rape her with your mind, and then you would get lynched. So, you know, that stuff has kind of died off a little bit. If you can become a brapper by pretending to be one, I'm sure the same applies for racism. Most of the shit that has happened post-internet is just LARPing. Very few people actually are men of action at this point. It's all about virtue signaling and pretending that you're something. Instead of, like, actually, you know, living based on ideals. Music from Vietnam War, 20 minutes... 1.3 million views. Is it going to be Fortunate Son? No. Yes. This shit is going to be muted as hell for anybody who wants to watch the VOD. We're having, like, maximum American stream right now. Can you volume up a little bit? Fine, hold on. Let's go!
Dick. I want to see 6 hot loads. That's not, son. That's not. And when the band plays, hail to the boss of this year. Ooh, that cock. That you know. Take it, boy. It ain't me.
Don't touch me there.
I know. Let's go, sir. It ain't me. Thank you, sir.
God, skin dentation is so hard. It's not literally hard, it's actually soft, but you know what I mean.
I'll give you one more round, okay?
Yeah. But you can. Come to the door. Down the house, look like
Let's
stay. It ain't me.
Don't touch me there.
I know.
Really?
It ain't me.
What you see?
I ain't no fortunate one. No.
dark, it's so fucking deep. Do you like what you see? Oh, yeah. I'm so horny. Move your tongue around more.
Rip the skin.
We must pull up our pants.
See, I don't want to overdo it. Asanagi and stuff, like famous hentai artists, they really go hard on the skin dentation. But I'm not sure I want to do that.
On the chick.
I take a look at my legs and realize there's nothing left. Cause I've been freaking talking so long that even my
Master.
thinks that my mind is gone. But I ain't never
Spank
the
them.
boy that didn't deserve it. Be treated like a bird, you know that's unheard of. You better watch how you
Spanking.
and where you coming. Or you and your
Maggots.
might be lying to chalk.
This is called Gay Sex Paradise.
That cock.
As they cook, I see myself in the
Next door. Dungeon.
Maggot.
wanna be like on my knees in the night.
Suck some dick.
In the street light.
Gay sex. Gay sex. Gay sex.
What is your favorite type of heel? I have difficulty drawing all sorts of high heels, so I don't like any of them.
Bad. Penetration.
Fucking boy next door.
Gay
Sex.
sex.
Dick.
My cock.
Let me ask you a different question. What's your favorite boy next door?
Maggot.
Slave.
What can I say? I'm 23 now, but will I live to see 24? The way things is going, I don't know.
Horny. Two fat cocks. Gay sex. Gay sex. Gay sex. Gay sex.
I'm getting so sick of Asanagi's shtick that I didn't even bother to pirate his latest dojin. I know this sounds like, what are you talking about, but
Dungeon.
every single Asanagi dojin is just like extremely fat-titted girls being like, ooh, I submit to the cock, which is what I want, right? But he takes it to such an extreme. It's not like satisfying. The women just like go way too overboard and being like, I'm so worthless compared to penis.
Gay sex.
Like, I need a little bit more reality in my hentai.
Gay sex.
I need women to be strong before they lose to the penis. I can't have them just like automatically losing to the penis from page 1, you know?
Two fat cocks. Horny.
There's debate over whether Asanagi is a he or she.
Two fat cocks.
People just assume that every degenerate hentai artist is a female at this point. Women can blame themselves for that by being such consistent perverts. Asanagi is female? I'm not sure. I've seen both theories. I don't know if it's clear. You want them to fight back first? There isn't a sense of satisfaction that the woman is losing to the penis if they don't show that they don't, you know, regularly lose to the penis. Usually. You know, I don't want it to. I like Taimanin anti-demon ninjas and stuff like that that normally win. I like the sense of taboo. That's how I explain it. I like seeing something that is normally pure and like special being defiled. So if I start from step one for just women being like, there's no point in women existing, we must throw ourselves in front of the penis, it's just like, eh. So the thing that gets me horniest out of anything is when I'm reading shonen manga, not expecting any kind of sex plot, and then, like, suddenly the main female character is just getting, like, raped in a back alley. I'm like, what the fuck? I thought this was, like, a wholesome manga about soccer or something. What is going on here? Like, the sense of taboo of, like, seeing some shit that you're not expecting and weren't, like, it shouldn't be happening is what gets me off. But this is a very difficult fetish to fulfill, because if you know that it's going to happen, then it's no longer, you know, the fetish, because it's not unexpected anymore. Goblin Slayer is the perfect example. Goblin Slayer was nice, you know, for the first chapter, but then, like, the rape mode is activated, and then you're like, okay, now I expect everything to be rape, so it no longer works anymore. Berserk is the same thing. Like, I wasn't like, oh my god, Casca getting raped by 10,000 demons is so hot, because it's fucking Berserk. From chapter 1, Guts is being, you know, fucked by guys in his tent and shit like that, so you expect horrible things to happen at every single point.
Well, master.
Asanagi being a girl would be the least surprising twist ever. The more degenerate the porn is, the higher chance it's a female involved. Seems to be the general rule of hentai meant for men. It's like, does it involve suffocation and decapitation? Oh, that's probably a female author. Actually, the first chapter is Guts fucking a demon girl, lol. Talk about retcon personality traits. Guts was just really horny, guys. He doesn't normally do that.
Well, master.
And who can blame him? Guts must have a lot of pent-up frustration that he had to, you know, resolve. Can't tell if this is a gacha version or not. No, this is official. It's always hard to tell because, yeah, they're giving me a playlist that has official music combined with the gacha music. Wow, this is a great edited image right here. It just looks perfectly normal. I know if we could do this before AI, but if there's one good thing to come out of AI, it's the ease of editing, like Van's face onto Rammstein. Is it Rammstein or Rammstein? I guess it's Rammstein. I took German and yet I can't remember how to fucking pronounce normal German words that have Stein in them. Rammstein. Ja. Ja, du hast. Du hast nicht. So why do we even need gachi edits when their official artwork looks like this? If women ask men, like, why are guys always being so gay all the time? I can't answer. I just have to say, I'm sorry, ladies, we just are. When you get enough of us together, we just start stripping naked and oiling up and taking photos of ourselves together. Yeah, the gachi edit is kind of unnecessary, is it? Germany is the gayest country confirmed. I don't know if they're the gayest country, but they certainly like the artifacts of gay culture the most, like leather bondage and stuff. When I visited Germany as like a middle schooler, I was just looking at the random newsstands. They'd have like just all of this like latex rubber bondage S&M porn magazines just sitting on the fucking newsstand next to their, you know, newspapers, and I was just like, what is wrong with this fucking country? I'm horny, but like, I'm not that horny, right? It's so funny how, like, the European Union is like, Japan is such a fucking degenerate pedophile nation. It's like, bro! Have you seen your own shit? What is wrong with you people? And then, like, the EU people are like, shame on you, Japan. You are sexualizing your cartoon characters. The latex has to feel super uncomfortable. There's no room for perspiration. I think that's the point, right? You want to feel uncomfortable. So when Billy beats you... it feels better that way.
What the hell are you doing here? I told you last time you came by the station drunk as all hell not to come by. So let me guess what the problem is this time. Dinero. Come on, I'm good for it. You know, you know what, bro? Just kill that right now. Because you know what? You're always getting these bullshit jobs that never materialize, okay? And you need to get that crap off your arm. Those cartoon figures, they're not cutting it. I can get you a job in the cadet program.
So nearly 7 years without Billy, wrestle in heaven, my sweet prince. He's never left. He's still with all of us in our hearts. It's not like we were meeting Billy on a daily basis. Let's be honest, he's more of a concept than a real person. The real person is not, you know, a gay porn star in 2025, so... Although I guess he did show up on stuff like Nico Doga Live and actually talk to people, so he's certainly more of a real person than like all the other gachi like video stuff.
Colors, you know, turns me on.
I kind of feel the same way about Kobe. Kobe has never really left, he's still around. I'm trying to figure out how sharp I want to make her nipples. Do you like Magic Johnson? Not particularly. I hadn't reached the age in which I liked sports when Magic Johnson was actually like playing and stuff, so... I mean, I don't like anybody part of that Lakers pantheon stuff. I think Kobe was one of the most overrated players of that generation. Like, the Kobe stands were crazy. I don't know if the Zoomers in chat remember this stuff, but... Kobe sort of was like an idealized version of what it meant to be a basketball player to so many people. And if you're like, Kobe isn't actually that good, they'd be like, shut the fuck up. Don't ever talk to me again. They'd be like, but Kobe's efficiency is so bad. They'd be like, shut the fuck up.
So long. Come on, I'm good for it. You know me.
The Chinese love Kobe for some reason, which I found odd. The Chinese loving basketball when their country fucking sucks at it is odd as a whole. The Slam Dunk anime movie that came out recently did like 1 million times better in China than it did in Japan, so... I heard that Slam Dunk was like the #1 reason in which they all became basketball fans, and then they moved to the NBA, which is sort of in line with how I approach my basketball fandom as well, I guess.
What's wrong?
Chinese like tall people. It's so weird how the Chinese suck at organized sports.
Another time we were hanging out
They fucking suck at anything that requires like passing to a teammate.
about those feelings.
It's also insane how like India sucks at literally every sport other than cricket, despite having like the most population in the entire world. I guess that makes more sense because like half of India's population is just living in destitute poverty at all times. So that's not that weird. But China being bad at organized sports despite pumping millions and millions of dollars into the infrastructure and trying to have sport leagues and not even being able to field a basketball team that can even make like get it past the Olympic qualifiers is pretty fucking funny if you ask me.
But it's like art. I go, wow, that's great. Right?
The fact that they are good at cricket is surprising. I mean, it's one of those weird English colonial things that, you know, is pretty limited in scope, so... I guess it's not limited when you consider the populations of the countries that play it.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Ah, that's good.
Don't stop.
Oh yeah, I'll come all over you.
It's logical that for an urbanized country like China, there's basketball courts and soccer field, but they're not good at basketball, that's the thing. They have a massive basketball league with lots of attendance. They have soccer leagues. They probably have a bunch of national funding, although I don't know about that because they want to, you know, win at sports. And they can't even like crack the, you know, the qualifiers for any of these international competitions. They fucking suck. And they have the world's second largest economy. and the second largest population, and they're way richer than India, so they should have a shit ton of people who can participate in these sports, and yet they can't even like make the Olympics. It's fucking pathetic and crazy if you think about it. Like, it means that there's like something seriously wrong with whatever the infrastructure they have.
You got me, Nina? Yeah, here we go. All right. Yeah? Yeah, okay.
What reference material did you use to study nipples? What, you mean like nipples that I'm not actually showing, like in this image? Because those are different from nipples that like you actually see. The whole practice of like drawing like a vague bump on the clothing comes from the Taimanin Asagi franchise in general. Not football, soccer. We're gonna call it soccer in this chat, no matter how many euros we have in chat, just to differentiate between American football. I'm not gonna say American football every single time, okay? So we're gonna call it soccer. Soccer is faster than saying football anyways, so I don't care what you euros are like, no, it's football. Do not mix it up with your hand-egg sport. Your stocking looks like she's faking a smile or something. I don't know. If you look at the reference images of her, this feels like how she's smiling. I mean, look at this. This is the image that I was drawing her off. It doesn't look super happy. She's supposed to be looking seductive in my image. I don't know. It's hard to maintain the image of the character while also like doing your own facial expressions. Now draw her farting. You know, you brat fuckers. You know that the methane gas that comes out of women's asses isn't actually visible. When a woman farts, she doesn't have like a gigantic cloud of yellow smoke coming out of her asshole, you know that? It's not actually visible. So if you want to imagine that she's farting right now, then you're free to do that. You don't need a yellow gas cloud to tell you that in fact she is farting. Use your fucking imagination. Conceptualize the aroma, as we say. Imagine the smell. You can do it. In fact, you can just take the image that I post on Twitter and then put in a bunch of yellow smoke around the asshole area. No, this is not the gotcha version of Gorillas. Ball, stop. What? Stop suggesting that brat coomers edit the images that I draw with their own yellow clouds to illustrate farts coming out of women's asses. Is that what you're saying to tell me that I should stop? There was a guy who was just like a huge brapper. That was one of my earlier commissioners, but he can't afford me anymore because, you know, I don't do many commissions anymore, and he's like an actual Mexican, so. But he would always ask me to draw the fart clouds in yellow around the asshole. The good thing about the Brat Coomers is that it's pretty easy to draw a fart pic. You just draw the female in any kind of pose and then just put a bunch of yellow smoke coming out of their ass. It's very easy compared to some of these other artistic requests. The gentrification of gooning feels strong, man. I mean, gooning has been cheaper than it's ever been before, if you think about it. You just have any kind of internet connection and you have almost unlimited access to a million types of images. And yet these gooners are like, that's not good enough. I'm going to need my specifically fine-tuned image for my own gooning. I can't just goon for art that I found for free on the internet. I need professionally crafted art. It would be like people complaining about the gentrification of transportation and being like, I can't just buy a car in a car lot. I have to go to Toyota and ask them to specifically create a custom automobile for my driving needs. And if they don't do that, I can't even participate in transportation. That's what it's like. What's the most insane request you ever had? The first time I was just like straight up, I'm not gonna do this, was like, I'm sure it was like a little kitty who had a Final Fantasy XIV OC cat girl or something like that, which is pretty normal. Like half of the commission requests, if you ever do commissions, are from like Final Fantasy XIV OC cat girls. But he was like, I want you to draw her in from like 8 different angles, but I want you to do like one in the style of like Bleach and one in the style of like this other artist. So I was supposed to like combine the information of like the limited information I have from this screenshot of a computer graphic cat girl from Final Fantasy XIV and then draw that in like fucking Kubo Taito's style. I was just like, you know what? If you want to do that, fucking hire Kubo. Like if I could just like flip a switch and suddenly draw something like that. Like I can draw a Bleach character, right? If I look at references of Bleach characters. But it's like, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to take this cat and like give him the eyes of Orihime or something? I was just like, fuck off, man. Come on. This is ridiculous. I don't think that's the kind of extreme they meant. Well, it's one of the few commissions where I was just like, come on, man, fuck off. And he didn't pay me, by the way. I had already done like a lot of the full body drawings for that person for like the beginning part of the commission. It was like, now I want you to draw in like Bleach style, and I was like, fuck off. I mean, I've done diaper porn. Here's the thing, when you start actually drawing the image, it's not like a big deal because you're not really thinking about what you're drawing. You're thinking about in terms of like shapes and values when you get to this stage. So for like 90% of the image, you're thinking about stuff like, should I make, you know, this part under the chin darker? How will that change the line flow here and stuff like that? And like the actual context of what you're drawing doesn't really register in the same way that it registers to like a consumer who's just looking at the image for 5 seconds. In order for you to be able to look at an image and just think of it as information, the artist has to go through, you know, 100 hours of trying to figure out how they can create an image that won't like stick out in a weird way, you know? Normalcy is very hard to achieve, is what I want to say. being able to look at an image and see like eyes and hair and like the information of the character instead of seeing lines and like, oh, he fucked up that arm or stuff like that. It takes a lot of work to get there. What if we stopped saying goon and started speaking like normal people again? We had other words for people who masturbated back in the day, like onanist. You guys remember that manga Onani Master Kurosawa from early years of the internet? I think that guy went pro. I can't remember. Onanist, Onani Master. The term Onani comes from the name Onan in the Old Testament of a man who, instead of coming inside his wife, decided to spill his seed outside, and Yahweh was extremely displeased with him not coming inside. And ever since then we have referred to masturbation as onani. Shut the fuck up, constrictor. God damn. I wish there was a way for me to time out and ban people in real life instead of just in Twitch chat. I would be timing out my mother half the time. Instead, I just hide in my room and time myself out. That's what happens when you're a little bitch who is relying on his parents for housing and when they're 40. Bro wants to mute his mom. I mean, who doesn't want to mute their mom? You think this is like some sort of controversial opinion? There's more people who want to mute their mom than those who don't. Imagine if like you're a Jewish daughter and you haven't married at like 36 and every time you come home, the only thing your mother says is like, when will I see grandchildren? I mean, everybody wants to mute their fucking mom. I don't want to mute my mother as badly as like 10 million other people I want to mute. Like the lady who is talking on her fucking Bluetooth headphones when I'm trying to work out at the gym. Why the fuck can people not... Why can't they have like a... Why can't they just do shit in silence for once? Why do they have to have fucking conversations every 5 seconds? If it's not people talking on their goddamn Bluetooth, it's people like talking to the person next to them or coming to the gym with their fucking significant other. Just sit on the goddamn treadmill and run. In fact, if you worked out actually hard enough to the point where your breath was, you know, you had difficulty breathing, then you wouldn't be able to have conversations and you'd actually lose some weight, you fat fucks. I'm 26 and my mom already does that. Well, there's only one way to solve it, and it's to impregnate someone. Unless you're a female, and then you just get impregnated yourself. I know, you can just adopt a Chinese kid. Oh wait, you can't do that anymore. It's not the 80s. Chinese are in low supply. Okay, I don't know where you can find a little child to adopt and convince your mother that it's your baby instead of some like random kid. I guess you can just like abduct a kid from across the street, being like, hey kid, I have a Switch. I need you to pretend that you're my grandchild for 30 minutes so that my mother will shut the fuck up. You antisocial chud. If you had a beautiful woman to love you and drain your balls and loving children, then you would be more social. You need to stop living the life of a NEET. It's not too late. But what if I don't feel that way? You know, it's too late to go back on your promises of loving your wife forever and shit and realizing you want to be alone after you have your kids, you know? You can't be like, I'm sorry, Timmy. I know you're 5 years old and you desperately need the financial and emotional support of your father, but your father likes being alone more than he likes being your father, so he's gonna abandon you now. Bye. I think the concept that I'm gonna suddenly awaken to my paternal instincts when I have a kid or something is it's a bad assumption for everybody. There isn't any sort of cooling off period for relationships after you start one. It's not like buying a car and you're like, you know, this thing is a lemon. I don't want to actually. I'm taking it back to the lot. You can't do that with your girlfriend. 30s is the transition period to late adulthood. Yeah, and I'm not doing it. I mean, back in the day, if you were having a relationship, you were just doing it half of the time because it was mandatory. And there were plenty of couples who just fucking hated each other. And instead of not marrying and not having kids, you would just drink alcohol and be abusive to each other. That's the good old American way right there. But nowadays we're all like, no, you can't do that. You have to not be an alcoholic, you know, domestic abuser. That's bad. So that ruins my plans, you know. Fear of missing out. I mean, it was just like, if you didn't have a wife and kids, you were like just a complete vagrant or a weirdo. Why won't you marry and have kids? You respond with, because I don't want to end up like you. If my mother actually said that, it would be because I have Asperger syndrome, which you diagnosed me with, and which is genetically inherited, and thus is a direct result of you, whether it's your genetics or you choosing my father as the genetic source. You could have had a normal human being, but instead you got a kid on the autism spectrum, and he doesn't want to be with other human beings, so it's your own fucking fault. In fact, if you want to guarantee that you got to see grandkids, you should have had more than one child. I mean, that's just common sense, right? Like, back in the day, any of your kids could have died from polio at any point, so you had to have like 6 kids to make sure that you got to see the grandkids. It's like, I guess Timmy is dead, but Jeremy had survived and now he can have a wife. That's how it works. Lazy parents don't want to have 8 kids anymore? Yeah. Can we just like go ahead and say, not can, we're already saying that the boomers are the most spoiled, laziest generation ever put on this planet. They were born on third base because the generations above them fought the fucking Nazis, and then they think they've accomplished shit. They've taken the most resources and like all the best parts of society for themselves at every point in their life. And they somehow like have the gall to talk down to younger generations like they didn't like get every single fucking advantage possible. They're like, oh, back in my day we worked so hard. It's like, no you didn't. You were living in a fucking economic boom your entire life. You old fucks. Very original but true. I mean, I know I'm not being original. We're like, a lot of millennials say this shit, but it's something I think about all the time. Like, don't give me your back in my day shit, fucking old people. It's not impossible to die from polio now. We can always die from polio if we try hard enough. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Go out and die from polio right now, chat. It's just too bad that they'll die before they understand the full extent of how good they had it. Boomers will never, ever come to terms with the fact that they had an advantageous lifestyle throughout every point in history. Like, it doesn't matter how long they'll live. They'll always think that, like, if shit is getting worse, they'll be like, it's because the younger generations are squandering all the great things we did. It's like, no. You guys were born in a very, very specific time period after post-World War II when capitalism hadn't gone back to its full force fucking everything up. Period. And now we're back in the fucking plutocrat Gilded Age thanks to all these laws that boomers helped pass. Look at this shit. It's like 1930, top to 10% share of wealth. Oh, here we go. World War, 1940, crashes. The boomers get all of the fucking benefits here, and now we go, and it's like 2010, but by 2020, it's like up here. Is there anything that goes a little more recent? Why did they only all end at like 2010? Like the post-World War II era was a very special period. Look at this shit. Income inequality. It fucking crashes at 1940. And then it stays low throughout like the prime of the fucking boomer years. And when the boomers start to get old and they start voting for Reagan, it goes way back up. Wow, who would have thought? Good job, you fucking largest voting base in America. Remember Vietnam? Remember? Yeah. Except none of the boomers that I have to deal with actually went to Vietnam because they were college students, so they didn't actually have to participate. Vietnam was a poor people's war, and poor people have it shitty no matter what the generation. it ain't me. If you didn't get rich during the COVID bubble of multiple industries, then you're fucked. I actually had a very nice boost in... Man, I wish I was born just like 10 years earlier. Then I would have like a bunch of cash reserves during the recession. And I could have made so much money investing my money during the recession years. Because man, the stock market crashed hard then. But at least I had cash on hand to invest during the COVID bubble. Or the COVID crash, I guess, not the bubble, the opposite of the bubble. That was pretty good, solid returns. We're definitely in a bubble right now. The current economy. Bubble that's going on right now at the moment is crazy, to be honest. I refuse to put any of my money in stocks right now. I don't believe these tech stock numbers for a single fucking second. I'd rather take that 4% interest rate. I refuse to be like, yeah, the S&P is at 6,000, but surely this is real wealth. Like, that shit is gonna crash. I do not believe the bubble numbers. I refuse. Seeing people that were as bad or worse at drawing than me, that had no followers, that now have hundreds of thousands of followers and are 10 times better at drawing, makes me feel like shit for not grinding in 2020 and 2021. I mean, you can just grind right now. I don't see the difference. You're still here. I wasted so many hours playing Call of Duty, but it's just like whatever. I have less time and the boom is gone. I know I'll never have that golden age. What the fuck are you talking about? Are you saying that there was a boom for artists during the COVID era? That's bullshit. People are online perpetually. COVID or not. That doesn't have anything to do with, like, getting followers on Twitter. Twitter was less broken. Yeah, well, that is a problem, but you're just gonna have to go to a different social media platform. I will too. So all the people that you're saying have 100,000 followers, they're gonna have to go to a different platform as well, because like Twitter isn't just broken just for you, it's broken for everybody. It's not like this ship is only sinking for you, it's sinking for all of us. When was Twitter even fixed? Never. But it's possible to make something more broken than it was before. At some point, I assume that somebody will hurt Elon's feelings so badly that he's just going to shut down Twitter altogether because he thinks of it as a toy. And when he gets tired of it, he'll just be like, you could have been nice to me, but you all chose to be mean, and now I have to take away Twitter. You won't... Now you'll miss me, but I'll be gone, and even if you ask me to come back, I won't be here to hear your cries. Some type of shit like that, and then Twitter will just be like gone, poof. That's my theory on how it's gonna end. Elon having another tantrum, basically. Seems most realistic outcome. Twitter is broken. I mean, Elon is trying his best to make it unusable, is how I would put it. He's tried to monetize it, and the harder he tries to monetize it while also behaving like a dumbass is driving away advertisers more and more, and eventually it will be unusable. But we should have seen that coming, I guess. Don't sign out of Twitter if you want to stay logged in. It occasionally locks you out for no reason. LMAO. Elon has the GOP now. I mean, the GOP is in deeper trouble than Twitter, to be honest. Their entire party is attached to a single man, Donald Trump, and he's not going to be around for that much longer. It's no surprise why there's like actual GOP congressmen who are trying to suck up to Trump and make it so he can be a president for another year and shit like that. Not another year, another term. Because where else are they gonna go from here? It can always get worse. Bro, it can get so much worse. In fact, for all the liberals, and I have a lot of them, including my mother around me, that are like, we're in fascism now. I'm like, no, we're not. We're actually not even like, we haven't even started getting there as hard as Trump is trying. Like, if we're actually talking about how bad can it get, the stop white genocide scale. So let's put like here. Here. In the middle, we'll just straight up put we can put this a little farther to the right over here. So, on this graph, this is the current area where the Democratic Party line virtue signals are. This is the current area of Trump. It's actually not even here because they haven't actually like gotten to everybody. So it's like in between Obama era deportations and making illegals leave. And in reality, all of this here, between here there's like this whole area of legal immigrants that the Republican Party isn't allowed to say that they don't want all these brown people in America when they talk about white genocide, but when they say white genocide, they mean stop having sex with these people. No, the whiteness is disappearing. No, stop having sex. No. And what they want to do is do this. No more immigration. No more legal immigration. Make them all leave so we can go back to 1950. But they're not allowed to fucking do that. And it's especially hard for them to do that because now, after the Trump election, the last Trump election, they had a bunch of Latino voters that voted for Republican Party, so they sure as fuck can't lose any more votes. So we're right here, and there's still so much room to go. We'll never get a proper class war. The rich will always deflect and turn it into a race war. I mean, that's why we have all these, you know, media that make sure that they don't blame the rich. It was particularly funny how to watch like CNN trying to scold people who were, you know, clapping on the internet for when the health insurance CEO got shot. And even that guy isn't even like the actual, you know, top of the line, like who's the actual rich people. He's still a lackey compared to the actual shareholders. He's a middle manager, even if he gets paid millions of dollars. The actual shareholders aren't there. Caucasian and Latino kids typically come out mostly white. The whole concept of white is just like a fucking racial, it's like a construct. It doesn't actually exist, guys. White and black are just shit that America made up. And if you have sex with someone with a slightly different skin color, that shit starts mixing real fast. Are Italians and Irish white? We already answered this question in 1920. Of course they're not. We must keep them on the boats and not let them get off at Ellis Island. It's the only way. The unwashed masses. The true white race exists solely in northern Ohio. I liked when Trump was like, why can't we have immigrants that aren't from shithole countries? Why can't we have immigrants from Norway? It's just like LMAO. He's so bad at saying the quiet part, quiet. He has to say it out loud. It's like, yes, we get it. You want white people. We understand. Could it be any more blatant? What's a funny slur for Italians? There's plenty considering Americans fought them in World War II, but I don't think Twitch would enjoy it if I started going on a racial slur tour of Italy on stream. More like brown equals poor? No. The far right don't want any kind of brown people in America. That's why they're saying the term white genocide. Imagine moving from your Scandinavian social democracy to shithole America. I mean, why do you think we have all these Indian doctors who studied law or medicine for years and years? And they're like, my dream has always been to get the fuck out of Mumbai as soon as possible, so I don't have to breathe the worst air pollution in the modern history every day and die from lung disease. What is your favorite tie pattern? I don't know. I don't wear ties. And I suck at drawing patterns as well. Why should I put any kind of object around my neck? Chokers are for something for a woman to wear so they can get masochistic pleasure out of their airflow getting cut off. I am not one of those people, so I don't want that to happen. I prefer having full access to my throat not being attached to like some kind of garroting rope. I don't want to die from suffocation. Thank you very much. You didn't have to wear ties for my translation job. A lot of places are just business casual now, so I never had to wear ties, no. This isn't like 1960. You just wear your shirt with a collar. God damn it, Constrictor's already back. How does 10 minutes go by so quickly? You only just noticed? I'm trying to focus on drawing here. If only there was some way to purge him to the Shadow Realm. Which Superman movie was it where they trapped somebody in like a crystal. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was like some sort of multi-dimensional crystal or something. Or maybe I'm thinking of Star Trek. What 90s nerd media property had like a guy trapped in this weird multi-dimensional crystal? Was that Lex Luthor? The negative dimension. Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking about. It wasn't Superman. I think I saw it just once and I was like, man, that both looks cheap and it's traumatizing me as a 6-year-old. It's Superman? Okay. I wish I could get like a Fortress of Solitude like Superman has in Antarctica. I feel like Christopher Reeve's content is like peak boomer shit that I don't give a fuck about as someone who didn't necessarily grow up watching the Superman movies. Like CNN was really pushing their Christopher Reeve's documentary really hard every day when I was working out. I was just like, I don't give a fuck about early Superman. I don't give a fuck about current Superman either. I want a bat cave. If you had to choose one of the things that Batman has between giga money, giga personal technology, a eternally loyal, extremely competent butler, or a young boy that you get to have ass sex with. Oh, excuse me, I'm sure Bruce has never been fucking Robin. If that's the things you have to choose from, which one would you choose? I guess they all sort of come together as a package if you're rich, but, you know. Gay Alfred. Butler. We all want somebody who's just gonna make us a fucking sandwich without having to say anything. That's like the real dream of everybody in the modern age. And not even like rich people and aristocrats actually have access to that level of help anymore, I hear. Maybe if you're like on a Taylor Swift level, you can have like a super competent personal assistant or some shit like that, but what people actually want is just like hyper competent help that will do their job for them, even if they don't say anything, which is like a huge luxury, right? I want a condo. I don't know if I want a condo. I think I would prefer to have a condo than like having to maintain a yard and shovel snow and shit like that by having my own house. But I fucking hate other human beings, so if it's not a condo with like really good noise dampening and stuff, then I think I could get pissed with my neighbors very quickly. I think I'd prefer to rent for quite a while before I'd be willing to like buy a condo room. I don't want to get tied down in a like communal living situation in which I have to deal with like real estate issues with my neighbors. That might suck. All guys just want a mommy. All guys just not want to be avoiding doing work, right? They want like a second in command to do shit for them. Problem with condos is you have upstairs neighbors or just neighbors in general. They don't appreciate too well. At best, they keep up with inflation. Man, I don't know if I'm gonna buy a house. Maybe if I'm living in Japan, I might buy a house, but rents in Japan are like super cheap right now. If you're in a cheap location. I don't know. The whole thing of like, oh, buying a house and owning property is the best way to accumulate wealth is only something that works if like housing prices are normal like they used to be, not when they're like giga inflated right now. I just want someone to cuddle and watch anime with, mommy or not. I want to watch my anime alone in silence. I don't need some person distracting me while I'm trying to focus on the plot. But isn't that because Japan economy is turbo fucked? No, Japanese housing prices are actually low. It's American housing prices that are fucked up. I was mixing metaphors or mixing situations of two different countries. Japanese population is going down because, you know, the aging population and they're not having many immigrants come in, the birth rates, so the housing prices are just going to continue to go down unless it's like a really nice part that's like close to a train station or something like that, then it might be going up. But everywhere else in the country, the housing prices are going to continue to go down. So if you want to buy a house in Japan, it's not actually going to be that difficult. Obviously, location is going to make a lot of difference, but I want a goth girl with big milkers to feed me while I watch anime. God! Why won't you grant me this one wish? All I want is a goth girl with big milkers to feed me while I watch anime. Is that asking for too much, God? Why have you forsaken me? Damn you! Zeus! Zeus! Now lusting for goths is normie. I don't actually want a goth girlfriend. They smoke. There's like an AI chat website that's like, here's your goth roommate girlfriend. And the first thing she started doing was she started smoking in the fucking room. And I started forcing her to stop smoking. And every time she would light a cigarette, I'd be like, if you do that one more time, I'm gonna have the landlord evict you. I fucking corrected the shit out of that bitch. It's like, you try lighting that cigarette ever again, you're in deep trouble. Go to the fire escape now. This is a no smoking apartment. Aries, give me a goth girlfriend with huge lactating milkers and my life is yours! Aries! Kumar Kratos is an energy that I don't think the internet has properly exploited. We have soy boy Kratos with the soy beard and stuff. But I feel like Kumar Kratos has a lot of untapped potential that I could use. Oh, I'm so horny! Oh, that kind of energy. Boy! Don't you dare use my credit card for Bang Bros limited membership. We don't watch Gonzo in this house, son. God of War should continue both timelines? I thought it only had one timeline. Why are people so nostalgic for old Kratos? All he did was just like scream and yell and piss and shit himself and be angry all the time and kill things. He wasn't that interesting. It's not like the new Kratos doesn't like murder everything as well. People are like, oh, new Kratos isn't the same. It's like, he's actually basically the same. He's not that different, guys. The modern gamer is like, if Kratos doesn't murder somebody like every 5 seconds, they're like, oh, what's wrong? He's been emasculated. I fucking hate media with timelines. Yeah, media shouldn't be so complicated to the point that you have to check a wiki to figure out what's going on, that's for sure. You mean alternate timelines. I mean, everything would have a timeline as long as it's, like, actually progressing. New Kratos nuance comes from old Kratos hating himself. I mean, I agree with that. Kratos from their old games was basically just someone having an angry hissy fit for killing his wife and kids by mistake. And that energy of being angry went on for like, you know, 40 hours of gameplay. It wasn't that interesting at all, actually. And the gameplay wasn't that great either. The game was actually fun. I think new God of War has better gameplay than old God of War. I think you have a wider variety of weapons and like strategies that you can do. Old God of War, the primary concept of combat was just like trying to figure out whether you're going to do a long combo or a short combo. And like, sure, you had a few other magic tools and stuff that you got to use once in a while, but it wasn't like alternative play styles. It just came down to like when you were going to spam your magic. I don't think it was particularly interesting or complex, especially compared to the other combat games at the time, like Devil May Cry. I think people who are like, oh, it was so much fun, are overrating it. I don't like how tight the camera is. They do that so you can aim with the axe for long range combat. It reminds me of Resident Evil 4, and I like Resident Evil 4, so it doesn't bother me that much. Resident Evil 4, you were always terrified that there was like a zombie that you couldn't see from behind, which I don't know if is a good choice for God of War, but I think if the camera is too far, aiming with the axe is less accurate. God of War 2008 has 2 weapons. God of War 2 from 2005 has 7. Bro, you don't use like a different weapon. You use the fucking Blades of Chaos the entire time. There isn't like a different weapon. It's always Blades of Chaos. Like from beginning to end. You get like different combos and shit. And then it's like, no, I got the new blades. It's the Blades of Athena now. It's not like Devil May Cry where you're like actually switching weapons. It's always fucking Blades of Chaos. Do you think God of War became that famous because it was that easy? I think God of War captured the zeitgeist of the time by having the right energy for the angry edgelord gamers of the time. Did you play Ragnarok? I'm playing it right now. I haven't finished. Look at the tits. Yes. Let's play The Sexo minigame. I like playing the Sexo minigames. That was fun. We need more AAA releases where you do like a rhythm-based prompt minigame to make the woman orgasm. House pretty silly. I love the hammer. Okay, the hammer was okay. I didn't use it very much. The problem is that the crowd control is like the most important part of God of War at every point, which always makes the Blades of Chaos better. There doesn't seem to be much juggling. I mean, there's all sorts of like, you can like freeze enemies in the air, I remember. See, you people are now talking about Devil May Cry, once again proving that Devil May Cry is so much better than God of War that we're trying to have a God of War conversation and instead people just want to talk about how cool, what their favorite Devil May Cry weapon was. I think that's all we really need to know about God of War. Is that people don't even want to fucking talk about it and can't even remember weapons from it because they're using all their brain cells to think about all the cool shit they did in Devil May Cry. Remember when Dante fought the topless sexo vampire? And she was like, you're so sexy, just like your father. And she tried to get up close to him and then suck on his blood. And he was like, no way, bitch. And stuck his cool gun in her abdomen and shot her in the womb. And she was like, ah. And then they had an epic fight. And then after he beat her up, she's like, you're such a strong man. And then she turned into a fucking guitar. And then Dante uses the guitar as a weapon going forward. And it shoots like lightning bats out of it. Yeah, that was fucking Kino. Nirvana's a cool fight. Yeah, I like when she takes off her bat armor and just like comes in at you, to give you like the grab, and then like she's open to attack because she's trying to get the suck on. She can't help herself. What a cute girl. I like the concept of having sloppy seconds of your father, who is also a demon. That's hot. We must overcome our fathers by fucking their old girlfriends. It's the only way. That's gross. Not when it's a sexy demon woman. You would love the Bat family lore. Is that what Bruce is doing? We're talking about Batman. Hoes get passed around in the Bat family. Same case with Gears of War always being decent games with competent stories that really don't have flaws other than being the dude bro and little else. Gears of War is a good game. I don't know if it's a spectacular game, but what it's good is that it has really good atmosphere, is what I would say. There's few like post-apocalypse games that feel like the atmosphere is truly desolate and horrible and like everything's bad, besides like Demon Souls and Gears. Everything else is like they're saying the world is over, but it's kind of like nice. But Gears and Demon Souls, it's like it's truly donezo. Everything has gone to shit and there's nothing you can do. Dante hangs with a demon woman that looks like his mom. Yeah. He's like, Mundus made a clone of me to look like your mommy, which is why I hang out with you. My sexy mommy who dresses in leather. To be fair, I mean, would you hang out with your mommy if she looked like this? Demon mommy, demon clone, fake mommy that dresses in Giga Sexo. And also sometimes becomes the brown version. Personally, I like to believe that Dante doesn't actually have sex, so it doesn't really matter. I like to believe that Lady crashes at Dante's pad, pretending to be like blackout drunk with her legs spread, waiting for Dante to stick his penis inside her. And Dante is like, cool, now that she's drunk, I can eat the rest of the pizza by myself. And this has been going on for the last 20 years. That's what I want to believe. Lady and Dante definitely fuck sometimes between 3 and 4. I mean, you'd hope so for Lady's sake, because she's reaching that, you know, her eggs are drying up point of her life. So you'd hope that somebody's fertilizing those eggs, but I don't know, man. It's Dante we're talking about. Trish and Lady end up making up out of boredom, trying to make out with Dante. Yes, that seems pretty realistic if you ask me. DMC4 has the best designs. See, that was an era of Capcom in which, like with Resident Evil 5 and stuff as well, like I don't know if they were using scanning, but it was like just the right combination of like actually making the 3D models with having like realistic facial expressions and stuff. Everything looks the best in that period of Capcom. Whether it's Resident Evil 5 or DMC4. It's like just the right amount of stylization. DMC4 Dante's design sucks. No, it looks awesome. Nothing in DMC2 is best other than the fact that it has a brown woman. How old is Lady anyway? She's probably like in early 30s in DMC5. We don't worry about actual ages, because if you do that, then you have to be like, why is Chun-Li so hot when she's like 58 in Street Fighter 6 or whatever? So we don't talk about those things. End of PlayStation 3 360 era? Yeah. I mean, people shit on Resident Evil 6 a lot. But, yeah. It was extremely coom-worthy. Whoa, sexo police office. She had a really tight ass, so when the camera was behind it, with bell bottoms too. God damn, it was just it was a better time, guys. I love how Leon always gets paired up with the hot women. And then Chris is like paired up with the hot guy as if to suggest something. By the way, look at the number of heads. How many heads tall they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like 10. 9.5 or 10 tall. This is how you create a heroic figure. Is at minimum they should be 8 heads tall, and when people go overboard, they become like 9 or 10 heads tall. Realistically, most people in real life are like 7.5 heads tall. 7 sometimes for girls, 6 sometimes for girls. But when you have to be like giga heroic, you make them many heads taller. This is like standard cartooning shit. Chris had Sheva, he came out on top. No, Chris is giga gay, have you forgotten? Sheva is his partner. You could just hit her and have her scream, LMAO. Sheva is his beard, yeah, and Jill. Alright guys, I'm gonna end the stream here. See you around. I will keep on grinding. If you haven't seen it, Chapter 3 is out on Twitter. Sub to my Patreon so you can read it early, and so on. See you around, boys. Good night.